Thomas knelt down beside his daughter in the department store aisle, following her gaze to the display of princess dolls. "Why does the princess look sad, Daddy?" 5-year-old Lily asked, pressing her small hand against the glass. Thomas looked at the doll his daughter was pointing to. It sat slightly apart from the other so beautiful doll with brown skin and dark curly hair, wearing a lavender dress. But Lily was right, something about its expression seemed melancholy, especially compared to the bright, frozen smiles of the other dolls. "I don't know, sweetheart," he said softly. "Maybe she's just waiting for the right person to take her home." Lily's eyes grew wide. "She's lonely?" Thomas felt his chest tighten. He recognized that look in his daughter's eyes. The same look she'd had 6 months ago when they'd walked past the animal shelter, when she'd seen a 3-legged dog that no one else wanted. They'd adopted that dog. Max now slept at the foot of Lily's bed every night. "Maybe a little lonely," Thomas admitted. "We should get her," Lily said decisively, "so she won't be sad anymore." Thomas glanced at the price tag and winced. $60. He'd come to the store to buy Lily new shoes because she'd outgrown her old ones. His budget was already stretched thin between rent, groceries, and the medical bills from his late wife's illness that he was still paying off, little by little. Rebecca had been gone for 2 years now. 2 years of learning how to braid hair from YouTube videos, of burning dinner more often than he got it right, of holding Lily when she cried for her mama and trying not to break down himself. But they were making it. Barely, but they were making it. "Honey," he said gently, "that's a very expensive doll. And we came here for shoes. Remember? Your toes are poking through your sneakers." Lily looked down at her worn shoes, then back at the doll. "But Daddy, nobody's going to want her. Look, she's been here a long time. Her box is dusty." Thomas looked closer. She was right. The box had a fine layer of dust on top, and there was a small clearance sticker partially covered by the price tag. "How about this?" he said, making a decision he'd probably regret when he checked his bank account later. "Let's get your shoes first. Then, if we have enough left over, we'll come back for the princess." "Okay?" Lily nodded solemnly. "Okay, Daddy. But we have to come back. We have to." They found shoes on sale, thank goodness for small mercies. As Thomas paid, he did the mental math. If he skipped lunch at work for the next week, brought coffee from home instead of stopping at the gas station. "Can we go back now?" Lily asked, bouncing on her toes in her new sneakers. Thomas looked at his daughter, at her hopeful face, her gentle heart, the way she always seemed to see the lonely and forgotten things in the world and want to help them, just like her mother had. Rebecca used to volunteer at the women's shelter every week, used to bake extra cookies for the elderly neighbor who lived alone, used to leave encouraging notes in library books for strangers to find. She taught Lily that kindness wasn't just something you did when it was convenient. It was who you were, even when it cost you something. "Yeah," Thomas said, his throat tight. "Let's go get your princess." When they returned to the aisle, Thomas reached for the doll. As he lifted it from the shelf, something fell from behind the display, a small envelope, yellowed with age. Lily picked it up. "What's this?" Thomas turned the envelope over. In faded handwriting, it read, "To whoever gives this princess a home." His hands trembled slightly as he opened it. Inside was a handwritten note on flowered stationery. "Read it out loud, Daddy," Lily urged. Thomas cleared his throat and began, "Dear friend, my name is Eleanor. I'm 78 years old, and I've worked in this store for 32 years. I'm retiring next month, and I wanted to leave something behind. This doll arrived 5 years ago. She's beautiful, but for some reason, people always choose the others. They walk right past her. And I've watched her sit here, waiting, all this time. I know she's just a doll, but she reminds me of something important, that the ones who wait the longest often have the most love to give. That sometimes the things we overlook are the very things we need most. If you're reading this, it means someone finally saw her, really saw her. And that tells me something about you. It tells me you're the kind of person who notices the lonely ones, who chooses the forgotten things, who has a heart big enough to see beauty where others see something ordinary. The world needs more people like you." Inside this envelope, You'll also find a small gift, not muka, just what an old woman can afford on a retail salary. But I've been saving it, waiting for the right person to give this princess a home. Thank you for being that person. With love and hope, Eleanor. Thomas reached into the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was three $20 bills, a $60 exactly, and a small card that read, "The princess is my gift to you." He stood there in the aisle, this tired single father with thinning hair and worn jeans, and felt tears stream down his face. Lily tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, why are you crying?" Thomas knelt down and pulled his daughter close. "Because sometimes, sweetheart, when you try to do something kind, the world sends kindness right back to you." "So we can get the princess?" Lily asked. "Yes," Thomas whispered. "And we can use the money we saved to get something else. Maybe we can get another doll too. One for that little girl we saw earlier, or the one whose mom said they couldn't afford any toys today." Lily's face lit up like sunshine breaking through clouds. "Really? Daddy, really? Your mama always said kindness should be passed on, not kept. So let's pass it on." 20 minutes later, Thomas and Lily stood near the checkout lanes, watching. They'd selected another doll, a bright, cheerful one with red hair, and asked a store clerk to deliver it to the woman they'd seen earlier with her daughter. Now they watched from a distance as the clerk approached the woman and handed her the doll, explaining that someone had paid for it as a gift. The woman's face crumpled. She pulled her daughter close, and even from across the store, Thomas could see her mouthing thank you to no one in particular, to everyone, to the universe itself. The little girl clutched the doll to her chest, her eyes wide with wonder. Lily grabbed Thomas's hand. "We did a good thing, didn't we, Daddy?" "We did, baby girl. We really did." That night, after Lily had gone to bed with the princess doll tucked carefully under her arm, Thomas sat at the kitchen table with Eleanor's note spread out before him. He read it again, slowly, letting the words sink in. That sometimes the things we overlook are the very things we need most. He thought about the doll, sitting on that shelf for 5 years. Thought about Eleanor, watching and waiting, holding on to faith that the right person would come along. Thought about himself, these past 2 years. How he'd felt overlooked sometimes. Invisible. Just another struggling single dad, barely keeping his head above water, wondering if he was enough for his daughter. But Lily didn't see him that way. She saw a daddy who came to her school plays even when he was exhausted, who learned to braid hair and paint nails, who helped her look for the lonely things in the world so they could help them together. Just like Rebecca had taught them both. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is the mother from the store today. The clerk gave me your number. I don't know who you are, but what you did. My daughter hasn't stopped smiling. We've been going through a hard time, and I told myself we couldn't afford anything extra. That doll made her believe in magic again. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for caring. God bless you and your family." Thomas pressed his hand to his mouth, overwhelmed. He'd gone to the store for shoes. Just shoes. And somehow, because his daughter had a heart that noticed sad princesses, because a woman named Eleanor had believed in kindness, because the world sometimes gave back what you put into it. Somehow, everything had changed. Not in his bank account. That was still tight, still difficult, but in his heart. In that place that had been tired and worn down and wondering if he was doing enough. That place felt full again. 3 months later, Thomas received a letter at his home address. Inside was a note from Eleanor. "Dear friend, the store manager found my information and told me someone finally took the princess home. She also told me what you did buying a second doll for a stranger. She was so touched that she tracked you down to share the story with me. I'm 80 now, and I don't get out much anymore. But knowing that my small gesture created a chain of kindness, that it helped you help someone else. Well, that's the best retirement gift I could have asked for. Your little girl is learning something important, that we have enough when we share what we have. That kindness multiplies. That the world is full of lonely princesses waiting for someone to see them. Keep teaching her that. The world needs more children who stop to notice the sad faces in the crowd." With admiration and love, Eleanor, P.S. I've enclosed something small. Buy your daughter an ice cream cone. Tell her it's from the princess's fairy godmother. Inside was a $10 bill. Thomas laughed and cried at the same time. That evening, he took Lily out for ice cream. As they sat on the bench outside the shop, Lily with chocolate on her chin and joy in her eyes, she asked him a question. Daddy, do you think there are more lonely princesses out there? More things that need someone to see them? Thomas looked at his daughter. At this 5-year-old girl with her mother's heart and her own fierce capacity for love. I think there are, sweetheart. I think the world is full of them. Then we should keep looking, Lily said matter-of-factly. So they won't be sad anymore. Thomas pulled his daughter close. Yeah, baby girl, we should definitely keep looking, and somewhere, in a small apartment across town, Eleanor smiled and said a prayer of thanks for tired fathers who let their daughters teach them about kindness. For little girls who see the lonely things. For the way love multiplies when you give it away. For dusty dolls and chance encounters and the beautiful, mysterious way the universe sometimes gives back exactly what we need, right when we need it most. The end.